So yesterday we learned we compared the scouts that were sent into the land of Israel by Moses. That's the topic of the majority of this week's Torah portion. And the spies, the scouts that were sent in by Joshua, who actually did go into the land of Israel. Like Moses did not actually go in. And Moses, okay. So what's the difference between them? That's the Haftorah of this week, Joshua's scouts that he sent in. So the Rebbe listed 6 differences between the two of them. 6 differences. One of them was the scouts that Moses sent in was advertised. Everybody knew about it. And they were not said that was advertised. And the same, but the spies that Joshua sent in, he sent them in quietly, secretly. Another one is that the spies that Moses sent in, God told him, if you want to, send them in. If you don't want to, then don't. By Joshua, we have to say that God commanded Joshua to send them in, even though it doesn't say explicitly, but it's very implied that they were sent by God's command. The spies that Moses sent in were very, very high people. They were the leaders. And the ones that Joshua sent in, it doesn't even say who they were. The different commentaries, they say that it was Joshua and Kalev. And Pinchas, I'm sorry. And Pinchas. The Merag, Pinchas and Kalev, I'm sorry, were sent in. The Meraglim that, right, Pinchas, Joshua sent them in. The Shluchim, the Meraglim that Moses sent in, he sent them in a way that everybody knew about it, right? And even when they went in, they didn't try to hide themselves. But the ones that Joshua sent in, when they went into the land of Israel, they had to hide themselves. And the last one is that also the number. Joshua sent in only 2, and Moses sent in 12. There was representatives of each one of the tribes of Israel. And finally, the last one is that the scouts that Moses sent in, they scouted out the whole entire land of Israel. It was a miraculous thing that they did. They made a journey which should have taken them 4 times longer. They made it in 40 days. So what's the common factor between them? Both of them, the purpose, Moses sent the spies in order to facilitate the entrance of the Jewish people into the land of Israel, and Joshua did the same thing. Okay, now, but there's a difference between them. Let's go. And we're going to see how this relates to us. There's 2 reasons to send in the scouts to the land of Israel. Number 1, in order to conquer the land. Like people that go to war, so they send out intelligence. They have spies that go in there, and they want to know what are the ways to counter, what are the weak points, what are the strong points, where is the best place to attack, the best way to attack, the best time to attack. How to fight. Another reason to send in spies is just to go into the land. How that it should be settled. So that you'll know the good, the benefits, the wonders, and the positive things of the land of Israel. That this will make them happy to go in, land of Israel, right? I remember there's the Palestinian in Gaza, whatever it is. So they always claim that they're living in poverty and squalor, and that the Israelis are this. Anyway, once they decided, for what reason it was, I don't remember. I don't know how they could do such a stupid thing. But in any case, they said they advertised because they wanted tourism. They wanted tourism, and they realized people aren't going to come as tourists if the Israelis are just killing babies in the streets, and they're living in just abject poverty. Everybody just lives in like holes in the ground or something. So no one's going to come if that's the picture that's painted. They have to paint a different picture. So they showed really pictures of what, Palestine is like. It's nice, with gardens, with nice, and people are happy. Children are playing in the streets. Everybody's happy. It didn't really do too much to dispel the bad thing. And what it did do is that everybody said, hey, what are you talking about? I thought it was terrible over there in Palestine. I thought you were living in poverty. And look at this, it's beautiful over there. And they stopped the advertising. They didn't advertise anymore. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they advertise different places. But that's the point, that there's two reasons to send in spies. One is to advertise to the people that it's a nice place coming. And the other way is to advertise how to conquer the place, how the enemy is, the army. We don't care about if the place is a good place or it's not a good place. How is the army? How are the people? How are they strong? Where are they weak? Two reasons: for conquering and for tourism, for advertising. Yeshlom, we can say that what Moshe said, it wasn't so much to conquer the land, in order to know how to conquer, where the weak parts are, etc. Because Moses knew that they were going to go into the land of Israel and that God was going to take it over. God was going to fight for them. The reason that the main reason Moshe sent the spies in, to know the high things and the low things of the land of Israel. In other words, to encourage the Jews to go in a happy way. Advertising. The purpose of the Meraglim of Joshua, though, it wasn't to know how good the land is. Everybody already knew how great the land is because of what Moses did 40 years earlier, 38 years earlier. They sent in order to conquer the land, military. To know how to come into the land, because in the time of Yeshua, they were going to have to fight. Like we're going to explain later. Ready? Let's go. Explanation. Even though the question of the Bnei Yisrael, the Jewish people, that they wanted to send spies. Hayatah was lachforu v'yachperu lanu et the oretz v'yeshivu otanu Dvar et the derech asher nale bo v'et ha'arim asher navo aleh. It's this quote from this week's Torah portion, that they should survey the land and bring us back a report how we should go up, how are the mountains, how are the cities that we're going to take over, right? In order to take over. That's what the Jewish people said to Moses. But nevertheless, lo matzinu b'divrei Moshe l'meraglim shenitztabu lachfor ha'oretz leida mehechan hu nocha lachbosh. We don't see anywhere in the words of Moses his orders to the spies, to the scouts that he sent in, go in and find out which is the best way to conquer the land. No, what did he say? Go into the land and find out, right, what the fruits are, how the people are, how the cities are they open, are they closed? The reason is, simply that the conquering of the land by Moses, Moses was supposed to go in and conquer the land just like the same way they got out of Egypt. How? By means of God. Like Moshe said, like Moses said afterwards when he reprimanded the Jews that they didn't want to go into the land of Israel. And when he reprimanded the Jews on their request, let's send people in to scout out the land. Moses said, you really want to send in people? God, that he's going to fight your battles. Here we see there's a big pillar of fire in the nighttime. He's showing you the way. There's clouds in the daytime. So Moses was trying to tell them that you don't have to send spies in order to conquer the land. God is going to take over. There's no necessity. If so, you don't have to know where to go. God is going to show you the way. You just follow the cloud and follow the fire, right? In the nighttime, follow the fire. Wherever it goes, you go. If so, why did Moses want to send in the spies? Why did the Jewish people want the spies to go in, these scouts? The reason is, like it says in the Torah, Vayishlach otam Moshe l'tur et ha'oretz, in order to scout out the land, v'reitem et ha'oretz, to see the land, to survey. They wrote a tiva, or to see how good it is, tichunotel, what's the nature of the land, what's the good qualities of the land, right? Like to advertise the Jewish people that it's really a good thing they're in for. To see what the land is, a tova, is it good, is it fat? He says, therefore Moses said, be sure that when you come back, bring from the fruits of the land. That you'll show the Jewish people fat fruits. And not only that, the people will see, they will see the people. You'll see the people that live there. Are they strong? Are they weak? Are they a lot? Are they few? It's not in order to conquer the land, if we can make it easy, but what? The birativa oretz, to know what type of people live there. In other words, the land is conducive for population, to be populated. Let's see what the land of Israel, what the land of Canaan, what it does to the people. The Pirush Rashi like says, there's sometimes people, there's some lands that grow big people, there's some lands that grow small people, right? Weak people. Maybe the land of Israel, the climate is bad, maybe. There's lands which are conducive to a big population. Sometimes a lot of people can't live there. Also see the cities that everybody lives in, right? This is not in order to know. It's not in order to conquer the land easily or not, but just to know if the land is conducive to living, what type of living conditions there are. Like Rashi says, Siman Masar Le'am Be'Perazim Yoshvim Chazakim. If the cities are open, it means the people there are strong. If there's walls around the cities, then you know that the people there are weak, they're afraid. If it's Eretz Megadelas Giburim Oles Chalashim. It's interesting in Israel, so they gave this land to the Arabs, right? They gave this Gaza, Sharon, and he said, "Don't worry, we're going to build big walls. We're going to build big walls." And the walls really work to a certain degree. They don't shoot, they don't throw rocks, but what they do, they shoot rockets. But the point is that the wall is a sign of weakness. And that's what Moses said. If there's walls around the cities, it shows that the people there are weak. In other words, the land is not really, the climate only makes weak people. And in Israel, our government decided to make us weak people, make the walls. Shechel says to see the good of the land. This kaimu b'melo al yedei meraglin. Bano al eretz asher shalachtanu v'gam zvat chalav v'devash. That's what the spies came back and they said, yes, the land is a land that's flowing milk and honey. And these are the fruits. Huge, massive grapes, they showed them. If the spies, if these scouts would have just left it at that and they wouldn't have destroyed everything they said by what they added on, right? They said, but the people are very strong and we can't go up. The Jewish people would have gone into the land of Israel with great happiness. The spies, the Meraglim of Moshe, they came in order just to make the people excited about going into the land of Israel. And that's what they did. Unfortunately, they had to add on a couple words of their own, right? So that that what they said was true. They said, the land is very strong and powerful, and we can't take it over, which is also true. They couldn't take it over. With God, they could take it over. But the purpose of the spies of Moshe were just to paint a nice picture, to show an accurate and a beautiful picture of this beautiful, holy, productive land of Israel. The spies of Joshua, though, they weren't sent in order to see the goodness of the land. Everybody already knew that 40 years ago. But the reason that the Joshua's scouts were sent in was in order to conquer the land. Kikivu she'oretz by means of Yeshua, it wouldn't be such a high thing like it was when Moshe was there. Moshe, God said clearly he's going to be with him. Therefore, they had to do things according to nature. Which, in fact, that's what it was. When Yeshua went in, there were big miracles. It says that the Jordan River split when they went in, but they had to fight battles. They had to fight battles. It says they went around Jericho, they went around whatever 7 times, they sounded the shofars, and the walls came tumbling down. The fact of the matter is the walls did not come tumbling down in Jericho. The walls, it says they sunk into the ground. Okay. But Joshua had to do things in a natural way. They had to naturally fight battles. God was not going to be with them in such a revealed way as it was with Moses. It says, but with Moses, that God would have sent these, the tzira, these sort of weird hornets that used to spit out poison, and it would blind everyone and castrate them. Okay. That's if Moses would have gone in, that's what it should have been, but the Jews refused. When it came to the time for Joshua, God said, okay, I'm not going to do such big miracles as I would do for Moshe. Therefore, you have to send in these scouts in order to know how to fight. According to this, now we can understand these differences between the spies of Moshe and the spies of Joshua. In the time of Moses, God did not command him to send spies. Remember with the 6 things, that's how we started the class today, there's 6 differences. One of them was that God did not command Moses to send spies, but God did command, we have to say that God did command Joshua to send spies, because Joshua wouldn't have made the same mistake as Moses made. God did not have to command Moses to send the spies. Even since the Siva, the main reason to send the spies was not relevant to taking over the land. God was going to take over the land. They said, let's just send spies in front. Let's be like everybody else. Come on, let's not go into this thing cold. Let's do as much as we can in a natural way. The Jewish people, they wanted to send in these scouts in order just to come back with a nice report so that, take away any little doubts that we have and give us a little bit of enthusiasm. Moshe said, okay, because he hoped that when the spies would come back and they would give a good report and inspire everyone. I'm sorry. When he thought that Moses would say, I made a mistake. Moses thought that if he agreed to send the spies, that the Jewish people would see, okay, Moses has no hesitation. Right? He hasn't got any sort of doubts about it. He's willing to send in the spies. It must be that there's no problem. And he thought that the Jewish people would go back. So therefore Moses asked God, should I do it or shouldn't I do it? Or to see the good of the land. God said, whatever you want. So again, the Jewish people said, let's send in scouts. Moses said, oh, okay, let's send in scouts. He was hoping the Jewish people would say, all right, you know what, maybe we don't need scouts. I see that you haven't got any reservations, Moshe. So, okay, we won't send. But when he saw that the Jewish people were insistent and they said, no, we want to send in scouts anyway. We want to send in the scouts. So Moshe said, okay, just one second, let me ask God. He asked God and God said, whatever you want, whatever you think. If you want to send, namely that because of God, he said there's no need to send in these spies. You don't have to show them the good land of Oretz, the good land of Israel. I already told you, I already said that the land was very good. God said, I'm taking you out from the poverty of Egypt and taking you to a land that's good, flowing milk and honey. God said, I already told them that. Nevertheless, Moshe said that, listen, maybe I should send these scouts and then they'll see the good of the land. And then the Jewish people will realize how foolish they were. When they saw the shepherd of the Jewish people, that when the shepherd, the Jewish people, the shepherd, Moses was the shepherd, he saw that the people had a little bit of doubts and that they had to hear the goodness of the land. They didn't trust God 100%. So he said, okay, you know what? I'll send these scouts and they'll come back with a good report. And then the Jewish people will realize, well, we should have trusted God. Therefore, he said, send anashim, send people, not spies. And they should survey the land, not that they should spy out the land. Yachbaru. Asher ani noten livnei Israel, that I'm giving to the land. That each person, each tribe should send one person. 12 tribes. Why? That since the reason that he sent them to scout out the land was only l'samcham b'malotam, to make the Jewish people happy with the high qualities. V'yalu bo chefetz gadol, and then the Jewish people will have a tremendous desire and a tremendous lust to see the land of Israel. Therefore, he had to send from each one of the tribes, that each head of each tribe, he knew the nature of that tribe. Every tribe had a different sort of personality in general. And therefore, the heads of the tribes, he knew exactly how to explain to the people how good it was in the land of Israel. That he could worry to express the good qualities, the advantages of going into the land in a way that these people would understand. That the people would see with their own eyes that the land of Israel was going to be divided into these 12 different tribes. And each one of the tribes would get according to what they really wanted. When each one of the 12 tribes would hear from the leader of their tribe, Shekala, or it's kula, that the whole entire land of Israel, and especially the portion that they were going to receive, was very good. So everybody will be happy. They'll go in with it. And one of the essential things of Judaism is to be happy. For this reason, all the 12 tribes, they went to scout, to just survey the land. And they went to survey the whole entire thing, the Archa l'Rachba. The Meshech Arbain Yom, 40 days it took them. Not in such a way, right? And Rashi says over there that really it should have taken them 160 days. But they cut it into 4. God made he made a special, what's called kfitza derech. Below should call echad yelech lechelek misam. Not that each and every one, they would split up, and each one would go in his own place to see his own individual land. Even since the shlichus of this, they were in order that each and every one should testify to his tribe with what he saw with his own eyes. He calls the man shalom nechlek, as long as the land had not yet been divided into the 12 tribes. When did they divide it into 12 tribes? The first 7 years that the Jews came into the land of Israel, they fought against all the enemies. And then the second period of 7 years, they divided it up. So all the time that this period did not come out to divide the land, so nobody really knew where his portion was. So all tribes had to go together, even though that they were more obvious. They were sticking out. You could see this. There was 12 Jews walking around. If they were just split up, they wouldn't have been so noticeable. But nevertheless, they went all 12 of them together. This was before the land was divided up by the lots, like it said before. Then this was only after Joshua conquered the land and etc. So therefore all of them went together so that they would see all of the land together, and they would all support one another, but each one would go back to his tribe, and because they were the head of the tribe, each one would go back to his tribe and explain in terms and in such a way that his tribe enjoyed. Therefore, they were sent out in an advertised way, not in a quiet way. Goes without saying that they did it in order to convince the Jewish people, because the whole reason that they were sent was only until make the Jewish people happy. but also to the people in the land of Israel, the inhabitants of Israel, of Canaan. They didn't do anything in order to conceal themselves like usual spies do, that they try to do anything, they try to look differently or act differently or something, or at least to hide their intentions. Because they weren't sent in order to conquer the land of Israel. As far as they were concerned, the land was already theirs. God was going to take it over. There was no problem. Lo chashashu, they didn't worry that they would be noticed by the dwellers of the land. Bigalal hatzorich b'davar kadei l'malei shlichaso b'riyas oretz, because they had a job to go and see the whole land, to see the whole thing together, and to see how good it was. And so they weren't worried about people seeing them. Just like taking the land was by means of God, that wouldn't be natural. Also, this spying that they did, the scouting that they did, was also, they knew they were protected by God. It wasn't going to be in a normal way. So therefore, they were revealed spies. They weren't worried. They knew that God was with them, which is not the case. Joshua, if so, we're going to see. So what was the reason they told everybody no? Why did they give a bad report? We'll see. Which is not the case. The spies of Joshua, since the spies of Joshua, they were sent in order to conquer the land. They were sent in order to, it wasn't to see how good the land was, because everybody knew about this. But the only reason they came was to fight, to show the best way to fight in a natural way. Therefore, Yeshua, he only sent 2 people, and he sent them in a quiet way, like regular spies are. Only 2, not 12. And they were, and he didn't send just, and he sent just regular people. He didn't send the heads of the tribes. Because the only reason Moses sent 12 was in order that they should all see the same thing together and come back together and support one another. And then each one would go to his individual tribe and give a report. But Joshua didn't send it for that reason, to encourage the people. He sent in order to spy out the land. It was enough just to spy out what's there. It was enough to send 2 people and not 12, and not to send special people, only regular people. And he sent spies, that their purpose was to spy out the land, right? To bring back information that would enable the army of the Jews to conquer the land. The Jewish people, and he sent them quiet. The Jewish people did not know that Joshua sent them in, because the Jewish people, they don't have to know it. In fact, it's better that the Jewish people shouldn't know it, so that it might get out. The only ones that had to know were the heads of the army, or similar things. They had to show the way of how to come into the land of Israel. So therefore, Joshua only sent 2, and he sent them quietly. When the spies of Joshua heard the words of Rachav, what happened? They came into Jericho. Jericho was surrounded by a big wall, and they went into a house of a woman called Rachav. And this lady, Rachav, she said, I know that God is going to give you the land, because the fear of you are on all the people. And everybody's just melting with fear from the fact that you Israelis, you Jews are here. Therefore, they didn't have to go into the streets. They already heard what they had to know. And therefore, after they were hidden for 3 days, because everybody knew that the Jews were about to attack. So as soon as they hid for 3 days in the mountain until those pursuers, the people were looking for them, like the 2 spies of Joshua that went in, so their presence was suspected. The there was the contingents, what is it, the troops that were looking for them. And this lady, Rachav, she hid them out for a while, and then they ran into the mountains and hid. 3 days was enough. They came back to Joshua and they said, we know what's going on. This lady told us the whole story. God put the land in our hands. Right? All the people there are all afraid of us. Their morale is destroyed. That's it. Their job had been finished. So now we see the big difference. What is relevant to us, we're going to see tomorrow, God willing. But now the Rebbe has made it clear to us that the purpose of Moses sending spies was totally different. And it was done in a miraculous way. And it was done only in order to convince the Jewish people that God was right, the land is beautiful, and God is with us. Which is not the case Joshua. He sent in spies in secret, because what happened already with Moses, that already wrecked it up. That the people were suspecting, they were waiting for them to come. They had to send, all they wanted to know was just how to conquer the land. That's all they wanted to know. And with the spies of Moses, it wasn't that they were sure they were going to conquer the land. There was no problem. It was just to increase enthusiasm of the Jewish people. So therefore, they didn't hide themselves. They knew it was a big miracle. God was protecting them, etc. Why exactly the ones that Moses sent did not work? Why they came back with a negative report? We're going to find out, God willing. And what this means to us, also we'll find out, God willing, tomorrow. Now let's learn the Yom Yom. One of my grandfathers, this is the previous Rebbe speaking. One of the sayings from my grandfather, that's the Rebbe Marash, the fourth Rebbe of Chabad. The intellectual, the mind and the heart of a Chassid, it goes according to the first Yechidut that he had with the Rebbe. Now, Yechidut means a Chassid would go into the Rebbe and for a private audience. Now, a Rebbe is not a normal person like everybody else. A Rebbe is not a normal person. A Rebbe is, let's say the very basic, he's a true leader. The Rebbe is the true leader. And the purpose of a Chassid is to be a true follower. That's the idea of it. To be a true follower means that you have to be a person that's very open and constantly waiting for new orders and constantly being on the guard against egotism or laziness or selfishness. So that means changing your whole mind and your whole heart. It says a Chassid's mind and heart goes according to the first time that he went alone with the Rebbe. The first Yechidut, this molds the essence of the Chassid. A Rebbe prescribes an order of service appropriate to the nature of the Chassid's essence character. The first words that the Rebbe says, this reveals the essence of what the Chassid really is. A Chassid is a person that his whole life is based on self-sacrifice, and according to the orders of the Rebbe. The first time he goes into the Rebbe, this sets his whole, it's like which train you get on at the station. Whichever train you get on the station, this determines, where you're going. As we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. Have a good day with Moshiach. Now, 3:00, there will be a class. We'll continue in the Chumash, a different maforshim on the sending of the spies. Have a good day with Moshiach now. Thank you very much.